Hi everyone. Today I wanted to share basically research I've been doing for the past several months, 5 or 6 months. It's about the Siege of Rhodes in 1522. A very famous battle, although to my surprise, there really hasn't been any or much research done um, on the battle from the Ottoman records and chronicles, of which we do have a few, and I might discuss those briefly in a moment. But I have some names up there, but of course the Siege of Rhodes, very famous in European history, and I would even say probably world history. This is Sultan Süleyman the Magnificent, or as he's known in Turkey, Kanuni Sultan Süleyman the Lawgiver. His second major campaign in 1522. At this time, he was fairly young. He had just ascended to the throne. I think he was 27 or 28 years old. And he had previously taken Belgrade, which was then part of the Kingdom of Hungary, quite an important hub on the Danube, and had been an important part of the Hungarian defense network, although that was not certain that they would actually capture Belgrade, and maybe in the future I can do a video discussing that, because one issue with a lot of popular accounts of the Ottoman conquests is it makes the sort of the conquest under Suleiman especially seems sort of inevitable. But the Ottomans are just like any other military power, especially in this Renaissance period. There are successes and there are setbacks. So, by no means was it sort of a foregone conclusion. But to get back to Rhodes, this was planned by his father, whose name and dates I should have put up, Yavuz Selim. So Selim mostly fights against other Muslim powers, actually. So he fights the Safavid Iranian Persians, whom I've done some videos on. I mentioned them. He fights the Safavid Shah Ismail in 1514 at Chaldiran, and he also fights. Probably more importantly, I would say he conquers the Mamluk Sultanate, which is an unfortunately kind of forgotten power in the late medieval Middle East, but that was pretty significant. So the Ottomans doubled their territory substantially. They get Egypt and the Red Sea, but for our purposes here to talk about Rhodes, Selim had planned to launch his own campaign against Rhodes, to attack which at that time was held by the Knights Hospitaller, and they had been targeting. They'd kind of been a nuisance. Obviously this is a point of view thing. They were a crusading order, but they were also pirates, basically, corsairs. And of course the Muslims had corsairs also, so mutual thing. And they targeted Ottoman shipping, and they, conducted raiding basically on Ottoman islands in the eastern Mediterranean. They had a pretty robust galley fleet, and they had also, in addition to Rhodes, they had developed a kind of defense network with the neighboring islands that they were able to use as like an early warning system, and they had a number of smaller castles on those islands that they could use. And one of the Ottoman chroniclers that I've been reading openly mentions this, discusses how that the Knights were threatening shipping, and they were also threatening the Muslim pilgrims that go on the Hajj to the Muslim cities Mecca and Medina in the Hijaz, and so these are kind of the justifications that are presented, and one of the chroniclers kind of tries to show that it was more than just sort of a military strategy, that this kind of came to Suleiman in a dream. My own interpretation is that those were definitely justifications, but also Suleiman is relatively new to the throne. Everyone around him has come up under his father Selim, who is a pretty ruthless guy, very domineering, and definitely the kind of military leader that wanted to be in the thick of the action. So a lot of the other Ottoman statesmen that are around Suleiman are kind of wanting him to live up to his father, and so I think he kind of launches this campaign as a way to prove himself, and do it in a way that's sort of strategically important for the empire. But when the campaign actually plays out, the two important figures actually are not so much Suleiman. The important figures are these two guys I have up here. Piri Mehmed Pasha, who's the Grand Vizier. Now, the Grand Vizier, of course, in the Ottoman state is a very powerful position, and the second in command of the Sultan, and also an important military leader. And then the other one is Ahmed Pasha, who's also appointed to the campaign. Now, both of these guys, Piri Mehmed and Ahmed, hate each other. Piri Mehmed is a product of kind of the Anatolian Muslim elite, and is seen as this more stable statesman and administrator. And in later Ottoman literature, he is viewed as a kind of tragic figure who represents sort of the best, the ideal kind of Ottoman administrator, not this kind of over-dominating military kind of figure, which is what Ahmed Pasha was. He was apparently Georgian, according to when I checked his background quickly on Wikipedia, product of the Devshirme, regardless, and which was the conscription of Christian youths in the Balkans, but also other areas, and he's kind of one of these seen as, by Piri Mehmed and his milieu, as this kind of wild military guy, not someone you want to trust with running the state in a kind of organized and balanced way. So that's the background. And here we have this nice painting. I wish I knew what text this was from, but anyway, it does kind of give a good overview of what the battle looked like, although in a condensed way. We've got the Janissaries firing their weapons, their muskets at the walls. Got the cavalry. I think this is supposed to be Suleiman. Probably is, because we've got the special guards with a bow that would surround the Sultan. And I'm not sure what this blue is supposed to be, actually. Some kind of force or water, I'm not sure. Anyway, but we've got we've got guys mining, and this was really, really important for the outcome of the siege, because the walls at Rhodes, and one of our chroniclers, our Ottoman chroniclers, discusses this, that the knights are horrible infidels, but they do make but they describe the castle in really spectacular terms, and this one chronicler seems pretty impressed by what the knights have done, and indeed it was very impressive engineering, because the Ottomans had previously tried to attack Rhodes in 1480, but they were unsuccessful. It wasn't a very focused kind of operation. It was a smaller force, and it was defeated. The knights managed to hold out, and then they were also aided by this relief fleet. But anyway, so the walls at Rhodes were very well endowed, well prepared for the siege. They had been, basically the knights had been preparing for this outcome for like 40 years, which is a long time. So we tend to, in discussions of like this Renaissance period, time kind of tends to get compressed. But think about that. I mean, that's walls. Let's say you're born in 1480. You may be pretty old. You're 42 years old by the time these new fortifications are complete. So that's like a generation. So all that to say, this was well thought out, and the Ottomans were up against pretty good defenses. But we've got kind of a visual summary of the Ottoman outcome, of the Ottoman fighting style, heavily gunpowder weapon based, and also using explosive mining, which also, let's take a look at the other thing I wanted to show related to Rhodes, which is, so this is the map of the atlas of Piri-Reis. So he was an Ottoman kind of a navigator, but well known as a geographer. And this is an Ottoman atlas. This is a later copy, but this is the atlas of Piri-Reis. And here we have, this is so maybe I can zoom in a little bit more. The quality on this scan is not the best, but so if you don't know Arabic letters, but anyway, this is Cesarei Rhodos. So this is the island, Cesare's island, the island of Rhodes. I don't know what that is, Salah something. And pretty detailed maps. We have the different castles, a couple different castles and towns, but here we have the main fortress here, Kala'i Castle, Rhodos, the Castle of Rhodes, and pretty detailed. And so what Suleiman does is he sends one fleet, an advanced fleet from that goes around the Aegean and captures some of these smaller Hospitaller islands, and they also pick up a corsair who helps them, whose name escapes me at the moment. And so there's one fleet that goes to Rhodes, and then Suleiman goes overland across Anatolia to Marmaris, which is a town on the Aegean coast. And if you go there, you can see Rhodes from the shoreline. And I think I'm not sure if Marmaris is marked here on this map. I don't think so, actually, which is unusual. But anyway, this is Rhodes, and so the Ottomans are interested in mapping, and Piri-Reis put his information up there, living in the middle of from the end of Mehmed the Conqueror's period to Suleiman's time, and the name of this is Bahariye. And actually, if you want to look at this, you can find it on a website called Calamos, which has a bunch of all kinds of different manuscripts, European, Islamic. It's a German project. So if you want to download this and look through it, you can find it under this title, which is where I found it. And there are some comments here. I don't know if I can read this like just live. I'd have to prepare something, but basically it's a description of Rhodes, and yeah, it's a description of Rhodes, and he goes on at some length discussing its the different features of the island, as far as I can tell, just from quickly glancing at it. Okay, so that's what, and as you can see by the date, 1521 is when this atlas is originally prepared, so this is right on time for the siege, and you can kind of imagine that this sort of thing would have been in demand by the Sultan and the elite. If they're planning, wars of expansion, you need good maps, and that was, just like we use mapping today. They were interested in mapping in the 16th century. So that's that's the map. I wanted to just discuss that. The next thing I'll go to is the weapons that the Ottomans used at the siege, or the text here. So this is not very exciting to look at, I admit, but so this is the Defter, which just means notebook. This is basically the account book from the Ottoman armory. I was able to translate parts of this, but some of the terms I've even had a professor help me go through this, and he wasn't even sure what some of the terms were, which I think are probably so archaic they're not even in the dictionary that is used for Ottoman Turkish, which was prepared in the 19th century. But anyway, mostly what I wanted to discuss here was we have in this a lot of different types of muskets, actually. So sometimes in the more popular narratives about the Ottomans, or even I think early 16th century warfare in general, people underestimate the scale at which firearms took off in the first decades of the century. So here we have this. This is from the again the Imperial Armory. So up here in the top right, this is Tüfeksa, which just means muskets, and Küçük, which means small. So we've got small muskets, a bunch of different types, and it says there's been beş yüz, so 4,500, 4,500, and then this is like it means like pieces or units, and then we have a lot of other components basically for muskets, and one of these says something about long muskets, but the Ottomans were using a lot of guns in this, cannons and muskets, because they have short muskets and long muskets. So there are many gunpowder weapons that are used for the siege, and it also shows that they're able to manufacture them in pretty large numbers. And this is just the logbook for the advanced fleet that's commanded by one of the viziers named Mustafa Pasha. So this is just for his sort of division of the expedition. They have a bunch of different weapons, a bunch of different gunpowder weapons. So a lot of gunpowder weapons, and that's very important to the outcome of the siege, in addition to the mining, because another part of that account book is The all the tools that they would need for the siege are listed there, and they have a lot of other armor is mentioned. Basically, everything they would need. Although I admit, it's not the most. This is not very exciting, especially if you can't read it. But that's what they had, and that's about. This has been going 20 minutes, so. But that's the research I've been doing lately, and I've also been reading a manuscript. I think it's of the same chronicle, or very similar chronicles at any rate. One of the things about this is we don't always know if the author is the same in a text, or if copyists insert things later on into a particular work. But anyway, yeah, so that's what I've been working on the past several months, is looking at the siege from the Ottoman sources. And I hope you found this informative. I'm trying to get better at presenting this stuff, so I hope you enjoyed it. And if I continue working on this and I'm able to look at some other documents and maybe find out some more interesting things I will maybe do a follow-up to this video. So thank you for watching, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.